All right, so let's talk about what happens in the moments right after the big Capulet party. There's this short, kind of easy to miss scene that actually kicks the whole tragedy into high gear. Today, we're going to dive into Act 2, Scene 1, Romeo's Big Escape.
You know that feeling, right? When you've got this massive, life-changing secret, but your friends are still living in the past? Well, that is exactly where Romeo is at this moment. And that gap between what his friends think is going on and what's really going on, that's what makes this scene so important and, honestly, pretty hilarious.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Romeo just met Juliet. His mind is blown. He's supposed to be heading home with his buddies, but nope, not happening. He just can't bring himself to leave. It feels physically impossible to walk away from the Capulet house.
And this line right here, this is where it all begins. He's basically asking himself, how can I possibly walk away when my heart is still back there? Of course, the answer is he can't. His body's leaving, but everything that matters to him now, his center, is with Juliet. That pull to go back is just too strong.
So what does he do? In this crazy, impulsive, split-second decision, he does something unbelievably bold. He climbs up the orchard wall and jumps down into the Capulet's garden, the backyard of his family's mortal enemies. And in doing so, he completely ghosts his friends. Not a word, just gone.
And of course, perfect timing. Just as Romeo disappears over the wall, here come his friends Benvolio and Mercutio. They're ready to wrap up the night, but suddenly their star player, the famously dramatic Romeo, has gone totally AWOL.
Now Benvolio, he's got sharp eyes. He actually sees Romeo leap over the wall. But Mercutio? Oh, he's not buying the drama for a second. He just kind of scoffs and figures Romeo snuck off to go home and mope in his bed. He has no idea what's really happening.
And this is where things get really good. This is where the scene's genius really shines. See, Mercutio thinks he has Romeo totally figured out. He's seen this sad sack routine before, and he's decided, you know what, I'm going to have a little fun with this.
So Benvolio's like, hey, let's just call out his name. But Mercutio thinks that's way too boring. He's like, no, I'm going to conjure him, as if he's going to perform some magic spell to make his lovesick friend appear. He's gearing up to really, really make fun of him.
And he just starts shouting these names over the wall, trying to get a reaction. He's making fun of every dramatic mood he thinks Romeo is wallowing in. It's basically the 16th century version of yelling, "Get out here, you big drama queen!"
And then, bam, here it is, the big, colossal mistake. He starts trying to lure Romeo out by listing all the beautiful features of Rosalind. Yep, the woman Romeo was obsessed with just a few hours ago. The woman who is now completely and totally ancient history.
This is a perfect example of what we call dramatic irony. It's that moment when we, the audience, know something crucial that the characters on stage don't. We know Romeo is over Rosalind and is risking his life for Juliet, but Mercutio is just clueless, going on and on about the wrong girl, which makes his whole speech absolutely hilarious.
And Romeo, he's hiding there, hearing all of this, and he is staying absolutely silent. I mean, would you come out? So all Mercutio hears is silence, which, of course, just eggs him on and makes him even more sarcastic.
Mercutio just doubles down on his whole cynical view of love. He starts cracking all these crude jokes, basically saying that Romeo's love is nothing more than a blind physical thing. For a guy like Mercutio, all this deep romantic passion is just a silly game.
Benvolio, on the other hand, he's a bit of a nicer guy. He chimes in that Romeo's love is blind and probably just wants to be left alone in the dark. He gets that Romeo wants to be moody, but he's still just as wrong as Mercutio is about why. He's kinder, but totally clueless.
And with that, Benvolio makes the final call. He basically says, look, it's useless. If he doesn't want to be found, we're not going to find him. So they give up. They turn around and head home, with absolutely no clue that their friend is just a few feet away, hiding in his enemy's garden on the verge of the biggest moment of his life.
So you might be thinking, okay, a short scene about a misunderstanding. So what? But what's the actual point? Why did Shakespeare put this here? Well, this little scene is actually doing some incredibly heavy lifting for the whole story.
It really boils down to three main jobs. First, as we saw, it creates that fantastic dramatic irony. Second, it tells us a ton about who these characters are. And third, and this is a huge one for the plot, it gets the lovers completely alone.
This scene is our first real deep dive into Mercutio's personality.
We see that he's super witty and quick with a joke, but he's also deeply cynical about love. To him, it's all a bit of a joke, something physical, not emotional. He just can't wrap his head around the kind of real, earth-shattering love Romeo is feeling, which makes him the perfect foil for our hero.
And maybe most importantly, from a storytelling perspective, this scene just gets the friends out of the way. Shakespeare needs to clear the stage. By having Benvolio and Mercutio give up and leave, he creates this secret, private bubble for Romeo and Juliet, where they can have that iconic conversation without anyone else listening in.
So that's where we're left, right on the edge of our seats. The friends are gone, the night is quiet, and Romeo is hiding in his enemy's garden, risking death just to get another glimpse of a girl he just met. The stage is set for what is probably the most famous scene in all of literature. So, what happens next? Well, let's just say things are about to get very interesting.